Hello, I'm Emma Hammett from First Aid for Life and onlinefirstaid.com. And today I'm going to talk to you about nosebleeds and minor head injuries. So it's incredibly common to bump your head and you feel a bit giddy, you feel a bit odd, and then you begin to make a full recovery. Now, what you are worrying about with head injuries is anything serious, anything that might be causing some sort of bleeding inside the brain, some sort of caused any damage that has actually damaged your head internally and damaged your brain. We're not too worried about superficial injuries, and in fact a wrapped ice pack will take down most bruises. But if someone doesn't want a wrapped ice pack on, then it's actually not going to make any difference to what's going on inside and the far more serious potential injury that you're worrying about with head injuries. So a wrapped ice pack will take down a bruise, and it will mean that there will be less visible damage. But if somebody has hit their head, you still need to look for anything unusual and keep monitoring for anything unusual for the next 48 hours. If it's only a minor bump on the head, it is highly unlikely that there would have been any serious damage. However, you should still look out and be looking for anything unusual. It might be repeated vomiting, it might be blurred vision, it might be sick and dizziness, it might be that they start to lose consciousness, their behaviour changes, their pupils are unequal, anything unusual. And it might also be that they have a nosebleed. Sorry, I'm going to cough. Oh, excuse me. So it might even be that they're having a nosebleed. Nosebleeds following head injuries are serious if there's a potential that the bleeding is coming from the brain. Most times, nosebleeds connected to a head injury are either because someone's bashed the nose or because the nosebleed is coincidental to the head injury. So if you have watery blood coming out from someone's nose following a serious head injury, then you should be concerned and worrying about a skull fracture or a possible skull fracture. If, however, someone's bumped their head and then they happen to have a nosebleed and it's ordinary bleeding nose, it's highly unlikely it is something extremely serious. Please get it checked out if you're worried, but it's highly unlikely that there is serious damage that is caused if it's a minor head injury accompanied by a nosebleed. So if it is watery blood following a serious head injury, so just to reiterate, that is serious. If it is ordinary blood with a minor head injury, it's unlikely to be serious. Right, so that was talking about head injuries. Now we're going to talk about nosebleeds. So nosebleeds occur when something has damaged the blood vessels inside the nose. Now it might be that it is a child that's got very warm, so they've been running around and exercising, or they have been having a really lovely time jumping in a trampoline park, for example, and their blood vessels inside their nose, their little tiny blood vessels, dilate, and then it's possible that they can actually rupture. So it doesn't cause them any major damage, and they are tiny little blood vessels, but it can cause quite a lot of blood, particularly if it's because they were warm, because then it will bleed a little bit more, because the blood vessels will be more dilated. So these are little blood vessels inside the nose. So what you would do in that situation is put on some gloves if you can, lean the child forward, tell them what you're going to do, and apply direct pressure over the outside of the nose. And what you're trying to do is apply pressure so that you are actually pushing and applying pressure so that little blood vessel that is bleeding is being pushed against the bit of gristle of the nose, so that you're actually compressing that blood vessel so that you are stopping the bleeding. You're leaning them forward rather than leaning them back, because If you lean them back, the blood will go down the back of their throat and it can make them feel sick. Whereas if you're leaning them forward, you'll be able to see when that the blood has actually stopped, and it also will mean that it won't be going down the back of their throat. So you would hold, so again with gloves on, for up to 10 minutes. And then when you let go, if it starts trickling again, it's another 10 minutes and then a further 10 minutes. If you think that the bleeding has been caused because they might have broken their nose, so they've fallen and they've really whacked their nose, you still need to try and stop the bleeding, because losing too much blood is not good for you. So it could be painful for them. And in that particular circumstances, they may need to go to hospital to get it checked out. And it may be much harder for you to actually stop the bleeding. So generally, a minor nosebleed accompanied by a minor head injury is not likely to be serious. But if it is a major head injury or a very serious nosebleed, or if it is watery blood coming out of the nose following a serious head injury, then you should get medical advice quickly. I hope that's been useful. That's Emma Hammett from First Aid for Life and onlinefirstaid.com.